Pezik here, and I'm excited to bring to you a different spin on the content today in business. So the whole point of this podcast is to spark an insight, spark something different of how you are going to jump back into business the next time that you choose to work. Because it's that age old, if we keep doing the thing that we've always been doing and it's not working, that is the definition of insanity. And it's not just me. I've done it. I know you've probably done it. And we look for sources of inspiration. You know, there's times when we can dig deep and we can pull it out of ourselves and we're able to go inward. And there's times when maybe you feel like, I know I've been there, I'm tapped. I've meditated, I've walked, I've exercised, I've spoken to my mentor, I've jumped in my mastermind groups, I've spoken to my husband, I went to my friends, and maybe I still didn't get what I needed. I've prayed to my guides, and it's just not coming to me. And when that happens, I go to, a lot of times, which I guess is my last resort, movies, books, entertainment. We are educators. We solve people's problems. That's why clients come to us. That's why people pay us. But we are also entertainers, meaning that people go on social media to be social, to catch someone's attention, to look at an image or click on a video. We need a compelling image. We need a compelling headline. So we are also entertainers, and those who can evoke emotion can build trust, and eventually, when it makes sense, lead to a sale. So I thought I would share with you in this episode the 3 movies from this past year, from last September, October, November 2019 to today, that sparked something new in me, that brought about an inspiration or an insight, or helped me look at my business and my life differently. And the first one, I have to throw it over to my 6-year-old, Oliver, turning 7, I can't believe, in 2 months. Crazy how time flies, growing like a weed. And he loves the Jumanji movies. So every Friday night, today's a Friday as I'm filming this episode actually, and my husband and son are out getting pizza, and we make it's pizza and movie night every Friday. That is what we do as a family. The phones go away, business stops. We don't worry about calories in, calories out. We've been on point and good all week, and we just enjoy as a family. No stress, no worries. And we got into watching the Jumanji movies, and I don't know, I still have a special place in my heart for Robin Williams and the very first Jumanji that set the tone for that. But the third one came out in, I believe it was 2020, this past year. We went to see it in the movies when that was a thing. It must have obviously been before March, because that's when the pandemic hit and we were going nowhere, doing nothing. We actually went to see this in the movies. And what I learned from Jumanji was, if you've watched that movie, hopefully I'm not spoiling it for anyone, the reason why the main character, who The Rock plays, the kid, when he's not in the game, the reason why he goes back in is because he's chasing a feeling. He wants to feel important. He wants to feel needed. He's kind of like this nerdy kid in real life. And when he goes into the Jumanji game, he becomes The Rock. He becomes this, buff, hot hero. Well, in this spin, I won't ruin it for you if you haven't seen it. That may not be how he ends up. I won't ruin it. But that's the whole, he's chasing that feeling. That's the whole reason why he went in there. And then when his friends realized in real life that he wasn't around anymore, they went, uh-oh. They put 2 and 2 together, and they jumped in the movie, in the game, to be able to go and help him and save him and carry out the task. And I love that, because what it sparked for me was, all it takes is one person to throw themselves into the uncomfortable. All it takes is one person to go, oh yeah, you say that can't be done? Watch me. And if you want to have some influence in this world, especially in your business, that's got to be you. Now, there's no hierarchy of what's deemed bigger than someone else's accomplishment. For you, that could be showing up more on live video. That could be starting the podcast you've always wanted to start. That could be making that phone call to that massive event, that industry event that you want to be a speaker at and getting in there. That might be going for an audition to something that you think you're never going to land and you think you have no chances in hell of getting it, and you do it. That might be making an offer to the client that you think is untouchable and that they're not going to hire you, or putting that number down on a contract that you think no one will pay you and seeing what happens. Having that guts to go on that feeling. Now, I don't like feelings when they talk you out of stuff, but I love feelings when they leap you and throw you into things, because that fleeting feeling is quick. It's like, it's decision time, yes or no. And if you think about it, you're not going to do it. So I want to encourage you that when that feeling hits, do it. Do that thing before all the buts come into play. But that's not going to be possible for me. I don't have this. I don't have that. I can't. I don't. I can't. I won't. Before all of that hits, throw yourself into there and do the thing. I promise you, you will survive like they do. They always defeat the thing and win Jumanji. And it all ends up the way it's supposed to be. That's what I loved about this last one. Again, I won't spoil it for you, but everybody got what they wanted, and it looked a little bit different for everybody that jumped into that game. And lastly, it helped me realize the strengths, right? In order to win, in order to get what they wanted, whether they knew they wanted that or not, they had to rely on each other. You're going to jump in and do some scary things. You may already have this past year as the time, the world has forced us to change the way we do things, to evolve, to adapt. If we want to be around, you don't have to do it alone. He didn't go in that game, the main character, by himself. I mean, he did, but I think he knew that he was going to either get people in that game to help him, or his friends were going to jump on in, which they did. So listen to your team about their strengths. That thing that you want to hire out that you maybe don't know how to do and you don't know where that person's going to come from, they might already be somebody that you know. It might already be a person that already works for you. You've never taken the time, as my friend Lawrence Henderson says, to listen for depth and really see what fires people up, what they're good at, and what their strengths are. Because I promise you, that scary thing or this new territory you're going to thrust yourself into, the more team members, or I shouldn't even say that, I take that back, not the more team members, the right team member. And I don't want people getting confused thinking that they have to hire, hundreds of people or tens of, 10, 20 people. It might be one person. The right people got your back, and you can figure it out together. The second movie that, it's kind of funny, I got to watch the second and the third I'm going to tell you about movie back to back on a plane as I was traveling out to a mastermind. And I don't really watch TV or movies. I spend my time creating and reading and taking care of my body and sleeping, running after my crazy 6-year-old. And the only time I watch movies really is on a plane, when I am going to a mastermind event. Usually everything's in California. We're here in Toronto, so it's almost always a 5-6 hour flight. On the way back, I never watch them because I'm too amped up and my brain is going a mile a minute and all the things I want to change and create and implement. But there, I've allowed myself that time to just play. And a lot of times it's watching a movie. And the first movie I watched on our last trip This was right before coronavirus hit, actually, in March. I was out to a mastermind. I watched the movie A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood with Tom Hanks, telling the story of Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers. And I loved it. There's so many things about it. I mean, first of all, Tom Hanks is just legendary in every movie that he plays, but they told it from the viewpoint of a reporter that has to go tell the world about Mr. Rogers. And the reporter's view is to find what's wrong, is to find what's flawed, is to find what's BS about Mr. Rogers. And how many times have you felt that as an entrepreneur? That there are the keyboard warriors, the critics who are not doing the work, but reporting on the work, giving their opinion on the work. It's so much easier to be the reporter than it is to be the player in the arena getting your butt kicked. Your butt is on the, whose butt is on the line more? The person playing in the arena or the person reporting on it? Whose livelihood and character and integrity and profitability and all of that is on the line? The player. So it's interesting how he's working so hard to find something wrong with Mr. Rogers, because I think a lot of the world plays that part. And when you're the player, you give way too much headspace and time and energy into the critics. And I want you more with the players than the critics. And it's interesting because Mr. Rogers never judged the journalist. He got to know him. He got to know his family. And that was Mr. Rogers' character. But in the same way, it almost ties into Jumanji, I loved how Mr. Rogers constantly, the way they portrayed it, he constantly pushed the boundaries of what was acceptable in society. That is the keys to the kingdom. And I think that's why a lot of people don't say what they want to say, post what they want to post, write what they want to write, speak about what they want to speak about, because they're afraid of the critic. They're afraid of not being liked. They're afraid of not being accepted. So we don't. We water it down. We water down our content. We try not to upset people. And then we fall in line just like everyone else. One of the most beautiful pieces of being alive on this planet is that only you have the stories. Only you've had the experience that have happened to you. No, they're not maybe the same experience, but your experience in it is unique to you. You know what I'm saying? The conflict might be the same. The hardship might be the same on paper, but your intimate experience with it was different. And that's what Mr. Rogers showed on his show, was there were things going on in the world, and he took his unique perspective and spun it and told it the way he wanted to tell it from his frame of reference and his experience. And he didn't care what the critics had to say. And he led with love. How much would our business and our life change if we weren't afraid to push the boundaries, say what we want to say, and lead with love? Ooh, I want that to be a challenge to you as we're rounding out 2020 pretty soon. I mean, yeah, we got time left, but I want you to take some time to really think about letting go of those expectations of how you should be, what you should create, what you should say, what dreams and goals and plans you should chase. And I want you to do what you want to do and not care about what other people say. You can't. You're a player. You got to play. In the words of Bo Eason, my mentor, who talks about us being players. Man, I get fired up when I think about that. And then the last movie, which I watched right after on the plane, I was in this great, loving, inspired emotion watching the Mr. Rogers movie. And then I, for some reason, decided to click on Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. And I don't really know why I clicked on that. I think it was, again, leading with emotions. Um, I like a feel good story, but I really like any kind of story. And I think deep down inside, I knew it was going to cause a little bit of unrest and unruliness seeing that. And it was dark, but it was brilliant. I absolutely loved the way they portrayed pain and trauma and what that does to a human being. It almost, for me, it it took the judgment out of it. And I think a lot about these critics and these people who want to feel important and want to feel heard. And I think we all have that collectively as a society. And pain really changes people, and bullying really changes people, and being different and not being accepted really changes people. And I kind of found myself throughout the whole movie. It was beautiful storytelling. I found myself, because they had a great conflict. I found myself wanting the Joker to win, even though he was doing all these terrible things to people. I saw his perspective, and it was so beautifully portraying the brokenness of systems and how much support really needs to be given to people, and what people will do when they are pushed to the edge. I'm not saying it's completely right to commit crimes and felonies and do crazy shit. I'm not saying any of that. But I'm saying we've all felt that, what this character felt, the lowest of the low, the shame, the humiliation, the false hope, and the illusion of perfection, the illusion of success, the illusion of what's important in life, the illusion. There was so much in that movie of how he wanted his life to be, and it wasn't, but in his mind he created that. And I think illusions are meaningful when used in the right way. So what I mean by that, the visualization is huge. So I don't want you thinking about your life right now, your business right now. I want you thinking 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, what you have, what you do, who you are, what difference you've made, what you want to be known for, and what you want your business to do, and start doing those things now. That illusion of perfection will be the death of you, because it will not be perfect. Almost anything I've ever achieved in my life has almost never gone to plan. I was even thinking about that. My husband and I were talking about that this past year. I mean, be careful what you wish for. I was saying, I really wish my son's growing up too fast. I feel like, I mean, I'm sure every mom can empathize and say that. We have the most amazing moments, but I wanted more time. Well, here I am in the middle of virtual homeschooling while running the business, while doing all the things we're doing. We've been more connected and together 24/7 than I've ever imagined. I wanted to leave my full-time job as a nurse educator, and leave the nurse practitioner team that I was with. And I had this vision of what my life would look like once I left and I became a full-time entrepreneur, and I would get up and I'd do my morning routine, and I would go for walks, and I'd go to coffee shops. And, I just had this like disillusionment of, oh my God, my schedule is actually 100% mine. What am I going to do with it? And this time I did leave. This has been the most profitable time for us in our business, because we build online businesses, we build online brands, we build online assets, and we were ahead of the game, completely done for you. So no stress. We were ahead of the game. So people knew what we did, and our client list just exploded, which is amazing. So I've been busier than ever. And many of those things that I wanted as a full-time entrepreneur happened, but many have not. But I got what I wanted. I wanted to leave, and I did. So even though things don't look the way you think that they're going to look. If you stay the course and you do good work, eventually you get there. So let go of those expectations and those illusions that we have. And pardon me, and you got to heal. That's a responsibility to not damage a world that already has damaged people in it, and not further damage Mother Earth, not further damage systems that aren't working for us. And I don't got to go and explain what they are. You know what they are. But our job is to collectively heal. And our job is to take one more step in the direction of healing ourselves in the highest way so we can do the greatest good. And we can create, and we can love, and we can communicate, and we can come from a place of authenticity. We can come from a place of resolve. We can come from a place of beauty and, like Mr. Rogers, and understanding and love and care when we work through our stuff. And to go back to that, I love how, if you watch the movie, his wife talks a lot about the behind the scenes in his life of what he did and the preparation to be able to show up the way he wanted to show up. And I think that is something we are 100% in control of. Take the time away from it. Go back to the to-dos that allow us to show up. You know, you might want to, sometimes for me, I had this envision in my mind that I was going to meditate for, 2 hours, or my morning routine was going to be 2-3 hours long. Some days it's 20 minutes. I meditate for 5 minutes, but I still do the thing that moves me forward. So get rid of the time. I don't have enough time. I can't fit that in. Yes, you can. When it matters to you, you will make the time. You will make the time. So 3 movies: Jumanji, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and Joker. I highly recommend that you watch them. And I would love to know, send me an email at lisa@lisapezik.com if you've watched these or you're going to go watch these. I would love to know what your biggest takeaway is and what you're going to do differently in business from maybe watching that movie or hearing this podcast. This is a time of growth and adaptation and change. And I want to encourage you to do the hard thing. Say what you want to say. Go get healing if you're not resolved on something, and keep going, because the only person that's going to take you out of the game is you. Know that I'm in your corner, and just know that there is beauty on the other side of all this craziness that is happening in the world. Stay the course, stay ahead, and know that I'm in your corner. Thanks for tuning in to the Lisa Pezik Show, and I'll see you again next time.